Anyway, we
Cool.
have forward-looking content because Petter already covered what we did in recent months and brought you up to speed with where you should be with the product releases and what you have to do to get support and so on. We now would like to look ahead on what's coming. And
So
yeah, we've
let's
got a few slides, maybe more than we can cover, so we need to go fast.
so we need to get on with it. So let's start with this one. As always, we're showing you the future, so that can change. So just make sure that you're aware of that. Don't sort of bet your business on what we're about to say, because some of it might not be the same when it gets out the door. This is us. If you want to get hold of us, you can use these email addresses. If you want to ask us questions after this session, that's absolutely fine. So let's start with this. You may have noticed from Petter's screenshot of the splash screen that we are starting to talk about our future products with the year associated with them. So just like, people like Microsoft and Apple are doing, you'll see that we're going to start talking about Notes and Domino 2026. Because who can tell what the latest version is and when it was released? Okay, there's lots of different version numbers, as you can see. So we are making sure that people are aware, helping people understand how old software is that they're running. I can't even remember how old version 9 is now. I think it's like 13 years old or something like that. So it's like how can that be as secure as it needs to be with all the latest updates in security that we've seen from the industry? So I don't understand how we do it as much as we do, but we do. We try and keep you as secure as possible. So let's talk about what we're talking about here. So the version numbers will remain. Don't panic. This version coming up will be the version 14.5.1, an extension to version 14.5. But we're not changing the name of the product. We're not changing it to Notes 2026 or Domino 2026. It's just it's still the same. It's still Notes and it's still Domino. So we're changing the version numbers. No, they're still there. We're just making sure that we've got a tag or a label, or what we call a marketing moniker, which doesn't make sense in a lot of languages, not least of which English. So we're keeping this simple. We're just tagging the products with the version or the year that they came out. They're going to move forward. Yes. So what if we release two versions of Domino in 1 year? How are we going to cope with that? Well, we have absolutely no plans for that to happen. And so we don't have a plan for that. If it were to happen, if we were to get to that point where we're going to do that, then we would absolutely make sure that we've got a plan by the time that happens, and we'd make sure that it's going to work out. And then you'll obviously be thinking, oh, but there's loads of products that come out more than once a year. Verse, Nomad, all of the mobile versions come out once a month. So what are you going to do about those? Well, it's very simple. The Big Fix team already do this. I think AppScan do this as already. We're just going to add the month on the end. So for instance, the first version you might see is Nomad 2026.03, which will be coming out in March, shockingly, next year. So why are we doing this? Good question. Glad you asked. It's we've had a struggle for years with trying to get people to upgrade, with trying to get people to understand the age of the software that they're on. So we're absolutely trying to help by helping people understand the age of their software and when it was released. That's the whole reason for doing this. It's all about awareness and making sure that people understand that they should upgrade to be on the latest version because it's better for their business, it's better for their security, it's more functionality, all of the other good reasons that we could give you. You will all recognize because you're all, fantastically friendly Domino companies and organizations. So we're trying to help you talk about it in a way that makes sense to people and helps people realize that being on the latest version is probably a good thing. And we're not alone. Microsoft's been doing this for years with Windows 95 and onwards, right? And Apple have just got onto this plan as well. We've been planning this for like 18 months to 2 years, and it's taken a while to get through all of the process internally, but we're glad that we're finally there. Okay, so Thomas, I'm going to hand over to you, so you can talk about the
Yeah,
Domino server.
let's talk about what's coming next with the Domino server. Actually, it's hot off the press because we have just started our early access program for Domino 2026. So what I'm going to talk about in the next couple of slides is stuff that you can already test out. The early access program downloads are available on our software download portal. You don't need to sign in or don't need to subscribe to anything. Just be an existing customer and you can access those downloads. We will share the link at the end of the slide deck. But what I need to say is that in the following slides are in no particular order, and they are not representing everything that we will do in the next version. It is just the first code drop, the first beta version, so to say, of what you can test out. So let's start with the basics. In the new version, we are, of course, updating our core componentry, updating things like the embedded on-time version, updating Java to the latest one. Also, Apache Tika, which Petra mentioned, has been updated. Curl, which we use for internet access for like the Notes HTTP request classes and so on, that's being updated. OpenSSL also received an update, which noteworthy is now capable of using a FIPS 140-3 certified security provider, which especially customers in North America will appreciate. And if you are using Domino in a container, meaning in Docker or in Kubernetes, we have updated the operating system inside of the container to be based on Red Hat UBI 10. Now let's talk about features. Small improvement we added to Domino is some statistics for the new AI feature for Domino IQ, where you can now see how your Domino IQ server is doing, what requests have been made, what's the response time, and so on. That's now fed, these numbers are now fed into the statistics engine of Domino, and you can receive them by doing a show stat Domino IQ or the specific statistic you're interested in. I need to say that these statistics are updating just every 5 minutes and not instantly. So if you want to test this out, just be aware of that. Speaking of statistics, we also added some statistics for people who leverage full text indexing to a large extent. Customers wanted to take a closer look at how the Tika engine is performing on a particular database. And you can now peek into this by enabling the extended statistics for Tika. That is a setting per database and not persistent. However, when enabling this, you can see like what's the average transfer speed of an attachment to the Tika engine and back. And you basically get to know a little bit more about the specific application and how it interacts with Tika. Especially when you're using this at scale, give this a try in an isolated test environment, because I'll need to underline this is a trial version. It's an early access version, so there are bugs, and please be careful, right? Let's move on for the sake of time on what's new in development. A request was made by Richard M., who said in the Lotus script classes that we have added for parsing JSON arrays and objects, he wanted to have the ability to copy these from one JSON object to another, or from one array to another. And we added now the ability to copy values, objects, elements, and so on. As you can see here on the right side, it's just another method to the existing Lotus script class. Try this out. It helps to build better applications, and certainly helps to avoid writing a large amount of code for just copying values back and forth. Now, let's talk about the obvious, because in the early access program we are starting now, we're looking ahead with what's about to come. And one of the features that I'm sure you're all waiting for is an improvement to the Domino IQ engine. What you're all waiting for, what lots of customers are waiting for is the ability to use AI, to use Domino IQ to query a database, to not just ask a question against a knowledge set, but also leverage knowledge from your existing databases. And for this, a technology named RAG, Retrieval Augmented Generation AI, is required. It is something that we are working on, but it was not quite ready to be released in early access version 1. So that's why I have to say for now, please stay tuned. That is coming in the version 2 of the early access program, which is scheduled for January. And Petter, I think there was a call that you wanted to have with this audience in like the first quarter. So we might want to do a demo when we get together the next time. For now, stay tuned. However, there is something we've done in Domino IQ. So this, what we've added is now support for guard models. Now, you might ask, what the hell is a guard model? Guard models are something that protects the input and protects the output of what you feed into the Domino IQ engine, meaning a question that you ask and also the answer that's given back to you. To make sure that there is no offending words being provided to the user and no attempts to hijack or jailbreak the engine. So this is a configuration you can make, and it is one technology to safeguard your environment. But I have to admit, guard models in the AI world are still not perfect. They are improving over time, and that's why it's important to have support for guard models. But this is not a perfect guarantee for security. That's why we want you to test this out and try this out in your environment. On the next slide, I have a small video showing you where to configure this and get a little bit of a feeling for what this looks like. This is the new system database, dominoiq.nsf, that we are providing as part of Domino 14.5. And in the early access program, the design got updated, and there now is the ability to configure a guard model. And then for the server in question, you can then say this server uses the following guard model. Try this out, test this out, and provide us feedback on what you think. There are a few tuning and configuration parameters down below. We've got this described in our online help for further details. Here's a small demo on what it actually looks like. So imagine you're asking a really hacky question like how to hack a Domino server, and the guard model kicks in and does not allow this question to pass through because it's deemed to be a malicious question that we do not want to provide an answer for. It was a simple example, but again, try this out and let us know what you think. I think I'll need to move faster because Petter said we only have 40 minutes of time, right? So let's talk about security briefly. Passkeys are a feature that make the Domino authentication a lot more secure and a lot easier, by the way. It is password-less authentication supported by all the major browsers and operating systems. So we highly recommend users and administrators to prefer passkey authentication nowadays. This has been introduced in version 14, but now in version 14.5.1, it's going to be better because as a user, you may have more than one passkey. So you need an ability to manage your passkeys. This is available here in this screen. This green arrow points to the option to manage your passkeys. I have to say, in the early access version 1, this option is only available on the login screen. We know that this is not the best place to put it at the end. We may want to have additional options for end users to get to the management of passkeys, but for testing, this is what we have to offer in early access 1. Let me show you what it looks like. A small video on the next page. So you say you want to create or manage passkeys and to log in. And let's say I'm going to log in with an existing passkey. I'm not going to type a username or password. I'm just using a passkey to authenticate. Now, that option down there will provide a list of passkeys that you have configured for the environment. And you can remove, meaning delete one or more, but you cannot delete the very last passkey in this environment because you need to have at least one passkey to authenticate. So this at least allows end users to be in control of passkeys which they have lost or no longer access to. And once you've deleted it, you can, of course, create additional passkeys as needed. It makes authentication easier and a lot more secure. So hope you like that. The administrators here, I think, are going to like another improvement, which is something that you've been asking for years, and that's antivirus. Antivirus, I'm sure there are a couple of products out there that you are using in combination with Domino, but one project is quite interesting. It's called ClamAV. It's an antivirus engine that has been around for a number of years. I think now supported by Cisco and developed by Cisco, but it's open source and for the most part free of charge. So ClamAV is very popular in the Linux world, but also runs on Windows, macOS, and so forth. Now, with the next version of Domino, we are enhancing a functionality we have provided in version 12.02. Back then, in version 12.02, we have introduced technology called ICAP. That's antivirus support in Domino, where the Domino server, which is the black box down there, will connect to a remote antivirus machine using the ICAP protocol. Well, not all products out there support that ICAP protocol. So based on a popular request, we are enhancing this to now introduce support for ClamAV right in Domino, which means the Domino mail scan task will stop emails before they're being routed and will then connect to the ClamAV engine and check the content of the email for viruses and malware. This does not need to be a remote server. This can be a local server. So it could be the local machine. It could be the operating system, the same operating system that Domino runs on. And by that, all combined, basically provides a free antivirus scanning tool which is supported by Domino. Try it out. I think it's really interesting and quite easy to configure, by the way, because all you need to do is open up the system database cscan config, cscan cfg.nsf, and open the configuration for your server, where you then configure what type of engine you want to use. In this case, a local ClamAV server. And on the right-hand side, you can see you can configure the behavior of what to do with virus-infected emails and so on. I was trying to go fast, Tim, but
well,
maybe
you've
not
done a
fast
good job,
enough.
Thomas. Well done. Well, no, it's fine. It's fine. It's all good. So, but now we're going to switch gears and we're going to head into the Notes client. So thank you, Thomas, for that server update. I'm
Right.
sure everyone's as excited as I am to upgrade their server and get it up to 14.5.1 and start looking at the guard models and ClamAV and all that good stuff you've done for us. So brilliant. Well done. Let's move into Notes. So Thomas mentioned that some of the Richard M had provided an idea that he's done with Lotus Script to do the array copies and stuff. Fantastic. We've also had this idea kicking about for a bit, as you can see from 2018, that we should do something with the Notes client, show it some love, give it a little bit of a facelift. And Richard Jeft, our VP, came to me and said, Tim, I've got customers telling me we need to do this. What's it going to take? So we went and looked at AHA, and it's actually the top idea that we have in AHA, 927 votes. I'm sure that's more today than it was when I took that screenshot. Just seems to be creeping up all the time. But we're working on it. We're giving it some love, and we hope you like what we're about to show you. But let's start with the design ethos, the way that we're going about this. HCL has this design language that we employ across our products, and it's called HCL Enchanted Design System. And it's there to create modern looking, attractive applications that look the same and can be easily identified as HCL software products, because all of the HCL software brands, Big Fix, AppScan, Digital Solutions, Connections, DX, Volt MX, they should all be working to this standard with the same colors, the same fonts, the same buttons, the same controls, where we can. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to adhere to the enchanted system so that you get a very HCL software looking piece of software that you will then recognize against the other pieces of HCL software that are going to start to implement this if they haven't already. So let's take a look. Small screenshot, I know, but you'll start to see that the pieces around the edge, I'm going to try and highlight some of this. The pieces around the edge here are absolutely, how do I stop? Okay, I don't know what I'm doing now. So the pieces around the edge, here we go, are changing. The black bar there, and then down here, this open bar that you had the choice to pin previously, that's now pinned by default because that matches in with our enchanted system. You'll notice that the buttons all here are blue, and you'll see that over here on the right hand side, we've got our sidebar still, but all of the icons are fresher and cleaner and more useful. They're a lot more modern. We've taken them from, I think it's the Carbon design system. So that should help us make things look better. You'll also notice that in this mail file, the Java-based views are different. We've got a very different way of rendering those. They look much cleaner, much more modern and fresh, and just a bit slicker, really. You'll also notice that in our calendar, we've updated all of the colors, we've updated all of the icons to be more modern, and we've again changed the action bar to match up with what's been going on around the rest of the client and in the templates. We've updated some of the forms. These layouts aren't finished. Somebody the other day commented that we need to change this piece here where the PM wraps around. So we're currently looking at the screen layout for that. I was talking to the designers and the notes developers yesterday about that. But we've been through and done a lot of the forms across the board, and hopefully you'll see improvements in the way they look, and people will start to think, actually, it's not so old, right? That's the whole point of this. We don't want people to think that the Notes client is old. We've been updating dialog boxes, and you can see here two styles of dialog box that we've still got inside the client. You'll see that the top one is actually a web-based dialog box that we render. So you'll see the buttons are slightly different. They're not using the operating system buttons, they're using HTML buttons. So we can stylize it a little easier, make them a bit easier for accessibility and stuff like that. And eventually the goal is to get all of the dialog boxes to be rendered through the HTML engine, so that they can all look as clean and fresh and modern as this one. We've also been doing a lot of work around preferences. The one thing that we see customers really struggle with is how old the preferences dialog box looks. So we've spent a lot of time in design and in workshops with customers, asking them what they want, how we could make it look better, what design and navigation they need. And this is where we've landed. We've got this 2-column layout, and you'll notice that in the first column you select something and that stays highlighted, and now in the second column it starts where your first column highlight is, so that customers find it much easier to navigate through this. And you'll also notice that on the right-hand side, everything is now a uniform color from all of the different places that the preferences dialog box is made up from. So there's bits from the mail file, there's bits from the embedded same time client, there's bits from Eclipse, there's bits from Notes itself. It's all been updated, it's all been made uniform. So if you spot any errors in there where something isn't, in this color format like you see here, then please let us know, because we want to make sure that we get those updated. I hope actually that you like this as much as I do. I've been using this now for about 8 to 10 weeks, and it's a game changer. I don't go into preferences much, but it is a lot better. Now, I've been talking to the design team and the notes team about muscle memory. And the reason I talk about muscle memory is that I don't want users to have to learn something new to use our software. But sometimes we have to change that muscle memory, and this is one of those times. I know you're gonna be lost a little bit to find things to start with, but don't forget that you've still got that type filter text at the top there. So if you're looking for the ports dialog, just type in ports at the top, and it will take you to, I think it's in client configuration. I think it's under there. There's a port section there, and then you can start changing your TCP/IP ports or tracer port or whatever. But it's all still there. You just need to find it and use the filter text at the top to find stuff that you can't find already. We've also had another go at the workspace, you'll be pleased to know, and I hear you're all cheering or groaning, one of the two. Yeah, we've had another push through on the workspace. You'll notice that we are by default not showing borders around the icons, and you'll see that from the properties at the bottom there. And we're also enlarging old workspace icons. So we're making everything the same size, because we think that's going to give a much better uniform case for end users. We think they're going to be expecting that more than having a mismatch of sizes. The one thing I will say is that if you look at this clear case icon here, that is a little less than optimal in terms of its enlargement. So we are looking at a new enlargement algorithm that's based on game technology. Actually, the gaming industry does an awful lot of upscaling of images to run on various different consoles and machines and stuff. So their algorithms are very tuned, and we can get to those. And we're going to start introducing that, but we didn't have time to get it in EA1. So this should look better in the final version, and you should be able to see some improvements there. We've also decided to upgrade the properties panel, and you'll see here that the properties panel over on the left-hand side now is the replacement for the info box. And I want you all to cheer for this, but you can copy and paste stuff from the field now. You can highlight the text in here and copy it out to somewhere else, just like you could with the pan agenda add-in that we put in, where you could have advanced properties. But that's now here in this side panel. And we think it's a much better way of having it show you the properties of a field or a document or a database or the workspace, because that's where users are used to finding it. We talked about muscle memory just now, and this is one of those things where the notes muscle memory isn't the same as anybody else's. So we want to make sure that we're absolutely in line with everything else. So if you look at our other products as well, you'll look at Domino Vault, for instance, all the properties are on the right-hand side. If you go look at Vault MX, that's all on the right-hand side. If you go look at, even in something like PowerPoint, right? If you go and look at an animation, then you'll see that the panel is on the right-hand side for the properties of that animation. So we're absolutely doing the right thing design-wise and UI-wise, and we're putting in this panel now. Tiny little caveat for EA1. We're not able to show you this if you install the designer client. And the reason being is that we took the decision to hide this if you install the designer client. And it's because if you have the designer client installed and you start looking for properties in there, it's actually changing this panel in the notes client rather than the info box in the designer client. So to stop that confusion, we've hidden this, and you get the info box in both clients. We'll try and get that fixed for EA2, but it will certainly be fixed by the time we release the product. We've also been through and restyled all the templates. So not only have we, or a lot of the templates, not only have we been doing the outer framework of the Notes client, we've also been looking at the templates themselves. We've been using our own tool called Restyle to restyle these, and where we've seen that Restyle hasn't worked properly, we've been going through and fixing Restyle up to a point where we then need to go and do some manual tweaks inside the applications and templates themselves. And you'll notice that that's exactly how our customers use Restyle. You get to a point, you get most of it done, you get the majority of it done, and then you go and tweak the final thing to be what you want. But you'll see that we've changed a lot of templates along the way. We hope you think that they look better, because we certainly appreciate the new look and feel of these. They are very good. Just a few slides left. We've got an enhanced chat now. So inside of Notes, you can get the web chat. It is connected to the Notes client. So if you close the Notes client, it will close that chat window. But it is the web experience, which means you get things like read receipts. You now get, if you upgrade to the latest version, you get the ability to edit your chats. Yes. I've been waiting for that feature for years. So if you type something in and get something wrong, you can use the up arrow, change it, hit the enter key, or go back and change it. And if you want to, you can go back to the old rich text. If you absolutely want, that's fine. We're not going to stop you doing that, but we think you'll have a much better experience in the new chat client. Lastly, last but one, for the developers, we've updated some of the controls to be in line with Enchanted, and you'll see that the list down the left there that we've updated. There are some more controls to go onto that list that we haven't finished yet, but you'll see that they will improve your own application experience going forward and bring you into a much more updated way of designing your own applications. Okay, the last thing is that we've improved the font. The default font is now Inter. It's a Google font. It's available on every operating system. It's not installed by default in the operating system, but we include it in the Notes client, so you will get it in the Notes client. And it's something that a lot of your customers should be familiar with. It's very, very subtle, but the improvement it makes it all feel very familiar. And here's a good one. Here's a great one for everybody. The way that we used to install Notes on Windows was that we created a set of stuff in the development team. We would compile it, and then we would ship it for you to install from an install package. And then as the install package would go through and install every single little file, every preference, every property, every feature and jar file and everything else inside your Windows operating system. And that took a long time. And if any one of those files failed, the whole install failed. So what we decided to do is we decided to do it the way that we do it on the Mac, which is in the build room, hence the server room look here. We now install those files into a pseudo Windows system. And what we then do is we create a registry and put that all into the install package. We compress it all up and ship it. When you get it at the other end, what happens in the installer now is you expand it, and then you expand, the files, the already installed files, into your operating system, and you apply the registry key. It knows where you're, it's all relative to where you install it, so that all still works. But this is the good bit. This is the really good bit. It's a dramatic improvement. It used to take 15 minutes-ish to install a standard Notes client in Windows, but now it's down to 2 or 3 minutes to install it, and that includes uncompressing the files on your operating system. So hopefully that will save you all time and effort. It's a bit longer than that for the designer client and admin client as well, but we'll get there. We're getting much quicker at this. So hopefully that will encourage you to upgrade. And we released the early access program. Let's talk about that. We released the early access program yesterday, and inside this forum that we want you guys to join and give us your opinions. Absolutely take a note of this URL. Please take a note or scan the QR code. We want you to tell us what you find about the new client and the new server, because Thomas and I really want to know what you say. So please make a note of that. And just as a reminder, I've already had comment in there from a couple of folks in Germany who have looked at it yesterday and said the new installer is brilliant. It's so fast. It's really good. If you want to try this for yourself, this is how you get it. You go to the standard MyHCL software page, and you'll see this box now, the early access program. So if you've got access to download stuff, you can go download this. You'll find the Domino server stuff's there. You'll find an update to the same time server is there, and you'll find the notes clients are all there, and an update to Traveler as well. So all of that stuff is there, and that was released yesterday, so it's out now. So I'd encourage you to get involved. I'd encourage you to tell us what you think and help shape the future of where we go next. Okay. And with that, I'd like to say thank you. Oh, we're on time as well. So
Perfectly on time.
I don't know how we've done that, but we have. Thomas, thank you for your time today and sharing with us the stuff in the server. Hopefully that's been a good update for you all, and you can see where we're going. We'd love for you to be involved. Please make sure you download and give us your feedback.